The man, the myth, the legend,
Achilles!
No, not that one. This one. Also known as the Rider of Red and Achilles the Fleet-Footed. Probably tied with a few other servants like Merlin and Gilgamesh for being my favorite servant. Plus, I just really like Greek mythology. I did some Achilles scaling in my Minato vs. Achilles video, but I did get some stuff wrong. I still stand by portions of it, but I downplayed Achilles a lot in the grand scheme of things. Plus, I learned a lot of new information recently as I have delved deeper into the novels and some information from other YouTube videos on Achilles. So with that out of the way, let's hop right in. I'm pretty sure most of you all would know who Achilles is to some capacity. Achilles being the immortal hero who fought in the Trojan War. He was given immortality by being dipped into the river Styx by his mother and was then blessed with an immortal body that could only be countered by his heel being pierced. In Fate, the only way to harm him is by having divine blood or wield a divine weapon, as Achilles is invulnerable to all physical attacks that don't have divinity. Even if you have divinity, you'd have to match or surpass his level of divinity for your attacks to fully damage him. If the rank is lower, then he takes less damage. And it's not that this is his only ability that sets him apart from other servants. For one, he is regarded as the fastest hero of all eras in both combat and travel speed. Divine beings like Karna being slower than Achilles. Karna being relative to Gilgamesh the strongest hero, with Achilles being able to match Karna as said in the Apocrypha novels. Achilles is also stated to be the highest conceivable rank a heroic spirit can be, whilst also boasting the title of the fastest servant of all time from multiple sources, with a novel statement of him having speed equated to instantaneous movement. He also has a multitude of skills and noble phantasms. Two of his main skills here actually provide something useful for Achilles. The first being his battle continuation ability. You can shoot him through the heel and reduce his speed by 70%, while also putting him in a constant state of pain as said in the Atlantis Lost Belt. You can also shoot him through the heart as well. Chiron in the Atlantis Lost Belt being surprised at how he was still alive even after being shot through the heel and heart. It's even more impressive as he was fighting whole ships worth of soldiers being enhanced by nanomachines that put them on the level of high-tier servants. We then have his bravery or valor skill, depending on the translation, that protects Achilles' mind from all spells that interfere with his mind. The two other skills being pretty self-explanatory. For noble phantasms, however, he's got a pretty good amount of them for a servant. He has his invulnerability that we went over before, but once again, it makes his body immortal and it can't be damaged by someone or something unless it has divinity. It's the biggest reason he was such a threat in Apocrypha, as the literal whole other team couldn't harm him except his own teacher Chiron. Even Siegfried, who also has an immortal body except for a spot on his back, wasn't even confident that his phantasm could do anything to Achilles. Befitting of the rider class, he also has a mount. In this case, it's a chariot pulled by 3 horses, Xanthos, Peleus, and Pegasus. All 3 horses being compared to servants on their own, with 2 of them being divine as they are horses gifted to him by Poseidon. The chariot is said to move at light speed, although it's much faster than that, and can turn any living being into a paste upon contact. There's the embodiment of his speed supplemented into a noble phantasm, which states once again that he is the fastest. You could argue that it's a conceptual noble phantasm that is always active that makes him faster than anyone, based on the fact that no one in all of human history before or after his life was faster. The only way to argue it's conceptual is that the phantasm itself is the embodiment of his speed, which would be the physical manifestation or idea. Whole bunch of wordplay with that one, so take it as you will. Next up is his shield, Achilles Cosmos, which was forged by Hephaestus. It is a shield that Achilles can use to attack people by ramming them with it, or defend from attacks. The shield itself is comparable to Rho Ius, which is arguably the strongest defensive noble phantasm next to Achilles', Rho Ius being a conceptual defense. It is a divine construct like Avalon, so it may scale to it, but is unknown. Avalon being able to block attacks up to the 6th dimension. In Grand Order, the Max Bond craft essence says that it is a shield which holds a universe, and this shield was able to block the strongest attack Karna had within his arsenal, known as the Vasavi Shakti, which is just an all-out anti-divine noble phantasm said to be the embodiment of mortality, which is able to kill gods, which are higher dimensional. Then finally, we have his lance. The lance itself would be stronger if he was summoned as a lancer instead of a rider, but it still carries a nifty ability. And that ability is to stop time, remove the concept of luck, while also removing third parties from interfering. This doesn't give Achilles much of an advantage as it disregards his own divinity as well, plus the opponent does have to agree to said duel. Now that that's all out of the way, how strong and fast is Achilles exactly? We went over previously that Achilles is equal to Karna, Karna being equal or relative to Gilgamesh as said in interviews, guidebooks, and their respective series. So all three of these servants would be within the same ballpark. Even as a low ball, you can scale someone like Gilgamesh to higher dimensional in Fate Zero, as he's stated to be the strongest within Zero and Stay Night. Stronger than Arturia, who can atomize Gillis' phantasm, which was said in the material books to be extra dimensional. Extra dimensional being above the normal space and time dimensions of 3 plus 1, which is how we typically view space-time. 3 representing the 3 spatial dimensions, then the +1 referring to time. If you go with that line of scaling, you can scale Achilles to the likes of Gilgamesh and Arturia, who in Fate Extra and Ixtala can battle Mooncell plus level opponents, who can even destroy said Mooncell. The Mooncell being 8D bare minimum, as it is stated to cut through 8 dimensions and is on a higher dimensional existence with infinite futures and possibilities, with arguments of it being outerversal, as it holds realms or dimensions with no concept of distance or time, on top of plenty other things that I won't go over unless I actually make a video on it. Plus, there is also beings like the White Titan who can scream so loud they shake the infinite void of space. You could easily wank Achilles even higher based off the Fate Zero scaling if you put Gilgamesh over Kojiro, who has attacks which scale above the concept of space and time. But that may be going a bit too far. And he's not an idiot when it comes to combat either. Considering he was a master in everything he was taught by Chiron at 10 years old, and is shown multiple times in the novels, manga, and anime to be a huge threat in close quarters combat. Within the Apocrypha event and Grand Order, he's even confident in fighting multiple heroic spirits that somehow gain divinity. And Chiron still believes he could practically solo everything by himself, or at least defeat all of the Apocrypha servants in a 1v1, even though they mysteriously gain divinity. Chiron himself, who knows all of Achilles' moves, says that he would lose in a 7-3 ratio, even without Achilles using his chariot, and Chiron has future sight and clairvoyance. He even said that even if he was at the top of his game, he would still lose. In terms of putting a number on Achilles' speed, Achilles is bare minimum faster than light, as he's faster than someone like Iskandar, who can dodge Excalibur at point blank and has been calced to around 60 times faster than light. As Excalibur is stated in multiple sources to be light, Iskandar having a much lower speed rank in comparison. Although speed ranks are weird, considering Achilles with a 70% loss in speed can blitz other A+ agility characters, and some lower speed characters can still battle and defeat higher speed characters. You can also scale him to some of the highest speed feats in the series, like with Tamamo or whoever you're using in Fate Extra. These servants being able to cross galactic distances instantaneously, or at least faster than light speeds, or scaling him above someone like Arturia who can combat attacks that transcend the element of speed and the concepts of space and time. There is ways to give Achilles immeasurable speed though. While he's not actually present during the main campaign of Grand Order, he does scale above or is relative to servants that are within said story, like Atalanta and Gilgamesh, which these servants are able to move within Solomon's conceptual temple, which is stated to be off the temporal axis, exist outside of time, and also being beyond space and time. Since these characters are able to move in a space that is beyond and outside of time, while also moving in non-linear time, this can grant them immeasurable speed. Achilles would scale to this, as he is stated to be the fastest in Grand Order and Apocrypha. So bare minimum, he'd be faster than light plus to massively faster than light plus, with arguments of high immeasurable speed. That's basically all I have today on Achilles. There's definitely much more things I could go over, like all servants having conceptual attacks considering they can harm and kill demon gods, but I'd rather not have another Achilles versus Minato type scenario where I'm talking for 35 minutes when all I have to do is make separate videos on them. So with that, I'll see you all in the next one.